This is episode 31 of the After Gambling podcast. In this episode, we'll go beyond monetary losses to talk about the other things we lose when we spend our time gambling. Hey there, and welcome to the After Gambling podcast. My name is Jamie. I am a compulsive gambler, and I'm also the host of this show. The last time I gambled was July 15th of 2010. Recently, there's been a lot of activity on the Reddit problem gambling sub. So if you haven't been on there, please go on there. If it's your first time, post and introduce yourself. Tell a little bit about yourself, your story, and then also just go on and comment on other people's stuff. It's something that I'm in the habit of doing. And obviously, each person, I think the one unique thing on Reddit, I think a lot of the people that post, especially first time, they don't necessarily go and read other posts. They're just kind of sharing their story, that first little step. So having responses to each post, I think, is very important because it gives that feedback, that confirmation that other people are struggling, and also gives them guidance going forward. So it's something I try to do. So if you have a chance, you can check that out. It's on the bottom of the web page. You can find it, or you can just go to Reddit and search for problem gambling. One post that was on recently that kind of triggered this episode was the comment about how we lose so much more than just money when we're gambling. And the poster really summed it up really well and was talking about the other things that we lose and how our focus is often so much focused on the monetary losses, the debt that we're in. And that's where the addiction really thrives, because when we focus on those things, I've said before, it's such a unique addiction because it seems like the only way out is to continue on in your addiction. I mean, if you only have X amount of dollars to your name, it seems like it makes sense that what do I have to lose at this point? I'll just keep gambling. And that was my way to get out of those financial losses. And that was my approach. And as I've mentioned before, it's gotten me into six-figure debt, which will end up being a seven-figure total kind of lifetime loss when you figure in other things I could have done with that money. But I've also talked about how the money, those aren't the things that really get to me. And that's, it's the lost time and the lost relationships. And those are really the two big ones that I want to focus on in this episode, that are really the two that I think once you have time and once you have a little bit of time away from the addiction, you start to look back, and those are the things that you kind of look at. And I think for me, keep me from going back. Obviously, I don't want to go back to the financial ruins. I'm at the point where I'm just starting to get almost out of those financial ruins. So that's something I don't want to go back to. But even bigger, I mean, the lost time and the lost relationships are something that when we look back, we realize sometimes it's too late. Sometimes either people have passed and we can't go back and get time with those loved ones, whether it be parents or friends. But then also just the relationships that we throw away because we don't have time to spend with our friends. And when our friends are in need, we don't have time for them because we're too busy going to the casino. I mean, you read all the stories online and about people that go and leave their children in their cars or their elderly grandparents in the cars while they go in to gamble. And I think they probably go in with the thought of, hey, I'm going to go in and do whatever, and it's going to take 5 minutes. And then hours and hours later, they're still there. And so that's just one example, but really the deeper one is just that total loss of time. I know I've mentioned before about some of the most influential GA meetings I've been to that have had the most impact on my life and my recovery have been the ones where people share their story about lost time and lost relationships. Because money is money. We can get money back. It sucks to be in debt, but money is replaceable. And love and connection, that's something that's a lot deeper and a lot harder to replace. And so when we're gambling, we don't necessarily think about the moments in our children's lives that we're missing, or the moments in our friends' lives, or our other family members, or our siblings, our parents. And I think that's the most devastating thing. And that's why I think it's important to really kind of talk about this and explore this on your own, because think about it. The money, you can get a new job tomorrow or within the next couple of years with some training or new experiences, or just kind of not spending all your time gambling and working on your career, that the money will fix itself. But those lost relationships and lost time are something that there is no value. It is truly a priceless asset that we all have, and it's all in limited supply. And I think it's really important to look at that way also, because when we start to focus on things beyond monetary losses, the power of the addiction goes away, because it isn't the only way out to be that we just go back to our addiction for the money. The money is the reason that pulls us back into that addiction. That's what makes it unique. But when we start looking and saying, okay, going back to this, I'm also giving up time. I'm giving up these relationships. I'm risking having the loved ones. I don't know how many more days I have with all my loved ones. I'm risking not spending time with them and then having that regret and maybe having them being disappointed with me to where it's just an irreplaceable relationship. And I don't know, I say this on the heels of we had my son's last T-ball game last night, and I've been helping out coaching. And I have to say it's probably the most fun that I've had in a really, really long time. And they're all 5 to 7 year old kids, and they're so excited to be there. They like playing, and I get to give them high fives when they get a hit and they go to run to first base. And they're just so excited. And this is a moment that if I was still gambling, even if I was there and coaching, which I probably wouldn't be because I would have figured out some way to get out of it. And I just wouldn't have been in the mindset that would have been something I wanted to do. But I would have spent the time there thinking about all of the bets and when I could go play poker again. And I would have missed out. I wouldn't have been the person smiling at first base, happy to see these kids. And it's something that now, I would really, really regret. And it's something I wouldn't even know I regretted until probably deep into the future when I look back and I just missed it, or I see somebody else kind of experiencing that excitement, that joy, because it is just pure joy. And it's really been kind of a very monumental time, I think, and experience in doing this coaching, because it's just reaffirmed everything that I'm doing to be the right thing, because it allows me to be present with them. And I'm not present all the time. Nobody's present all the time. It's something that's a constant work in progress. But just being there and being able to enjoy the sport and enjoy seeing these kids and their excitement, and then just enjoying myself. It truly is. It's priceless. And it's something that I know I would have missed out on. And I have friends that have missed out on it. I've met people that missed out on it, and they're just devastated by it. And it's one of those things that we work really hard to kind of repair those relationships in recovery. And it also kind of plays into that whole Johann Hari belief that the opposite of addiction is connection. And this connection that I'm feeling now as I do this podcast and as I coach T-ball and as I share my story with friends and family, it's something that it's just reconnecting each one of those dots is really powerful. And it makes it to where the financial end, I've always kind of said, look, the debts will get paid off when they get paid off. And I don't beat myself up. There was a time I was trying to race through them, but then I just kind of realized that was actually making things worse for me. That the focus on them was just kind of keeping me in that depression, and also kind of the feeling, and it also made the desire to go back to gambling much stronger when that was a way to kind of pay them off quickly versus just, hey, slow and steady wins the race. So, yeah, that's probably going to wrap this one up. I just want you to take some time, and when you finish this one, stop. Don't flip over to another podcast. Don't open up Facebook. Don't go back to work or do whatever. Take 5 to 10 minutes or 15 minutes and think about, if you're in recovery, the things that you are valuing, the things that you're doing that you would have never done before. Or think of the things that you rush through, that you push through really quickly so that you could go to gamble. And think of what it would have been like and how you would have felt if you would have been able to be present in all those moments. And I guess that's our goal going forward. And we can't go back and change the past. But now that we're aware of things, we absolutely are responsible for changing our future. And it all starts just a day at a time. Today, take some time, be present with the people around you, and do some reflecting, but don't go too deep. And then just kind of look forward. And each day I kind of try and measure up how I'm doing. And a lot of times I fail. I fail miserably about being present. But just being aware about it, I think, has been a very important thing in my recovery to keep me on the right path that doesn't bring me back to gambling, which is a suck on my time, it's a suck on my relationships, and it's a suck on my finances. So again, when we look at that full picture, and it kind of goes back to seeing the full picture, it's not just about money. And if it was about money, then yeah, going back to gambling could possibly make sense. Even though if you're like me, I just continue to lose. And I think we all realize that at some point we realized that no win would ever be big enough. I could have won a huge tournament with millions of dollars, and I would have just wanted to do that again and again and again. I would chase that feeling again until the money was gone. And along the way, I would have lost those experiences. That's the time and the relationships. So yeah, take some time. I'll keep this one quick and do some reflecting. And then finally, I will be on vacation next week. I'll try to get out a podcast. But if I don't, I will see you in 2 weeks. And yeah, I just really appreciate you listening. It's been awesome. We're way over 10,000 downloads at this point. If you're listening to this, is being recorded in early August of 2018. And that's kind of the cool thing. This will probably be listened to in several years. So just for documentation, that's when this happened. But it's been cool to see it take off, and it just kind of gives me motivation to keep going forward. And again, if you have a couple of minutes, it takes about a minute to leave a review. That would be great. That helps other people find the podcast. The more ratings and reviews that we have, the higher it ranks in the algorithm, so it's easier for people to find. Because there are plenty, when you type in gambling, there are plenty of shows on how to gamble. So let's try and boost this one up there, at least into the midst of all those other ones, so that when people go searching, they can find it. As always, thank you for listening. Remember, what we discuss here is for informational purposes. I think a lot of the information can help you, but this is a serious disorder. So please seek out the help of a medical professional. Go see a therapist. Talk to your doctor about this. Seek out the help that you deserve, because this is a serious illness, just as any other serious illness or disorder. So I really just want you to get the proper treatment you need. And then finally, music for the show is Something Elated by Broke for Free and is licensed under the Creative Commons license. Thanks again for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.